You ready?
Nope.
Sorry, trying to get started.
Okay, we're good.
You bet.
We're good. We're live.
We're on deck. Okay. Let me just turn my phone down because it will ring. Always does when I don't want it to. All right, call the meeting to order for Design Review Committee for October 18th. Agenda, only one thing on the agenda, which is a formal design review road application 2022-2. Ekaterina and Family LLC and Jay Ahmad, trustee of the Cedars of Lebanon Trust. You know why do you read it all, do you?
You can just read the description real quick.
Okay. I'm not going to read the parcel numbers. The applicant seeks to develop the project using zoning bylaw section 411, revitalization overlay architectural district called road. This modified project would demolish all existing buildings on the 3 adjoining properties and construct a gasoline filling station with 4 dispensers, overhead canopy, a 4,000 square foot mixed-use building, and various site improvements. The mixed-use building is proposed to include a convenience store, coffee shop area, and drive-through on the first floor and 4 residential apartments on the second floor. The lots currently contain multiple buildings, a convenience store, and 2 gas pumps with canopy. And presenting today, apparently, is Mr. Tardif.
Thanks. Just to, you know, these guys, Jay Ahmad, to my right, to my left, Hal Chuba, professional engineer, is responsible for the plans you have. So, and I know that you've looked at this several times in different variations. I know twice for the old plan. But I really think that this plan is the one that we, luckily, Mr. Ahmad owned another property adjacent to this that has been added to the project.
Yep.
Which gives us a little bit more flexibility, gives us a little bit more along 28. So we were able to address a lot of the concerns that neighbors had at the last planning board meeting. I'll probably just let Hal talk to you about some of the changes. I know you're looking at them, but if you want to go
Sure.
through.
Do you want to show?
And we didn't, I
We
didn't
go
mention
to the site
who
plan.
was here either. It's myself, it's Chairman
It all needs to be roll call votes,
Dick
so.
Martin. Okay, that's right. We do have to have roll calls. Sarah,
Sarah Porter, Design Review Committee.
Chris,
And Chris Vincent.
and
Here.
Dick Martin.
Do you want me to share the plan? Do you have any plans you're looking at, Sarah? Or
I don't, if you don't mind
Okay,
sharing,
yeah.
that'd be great. Thank you. I didn't print them out.
The third lot I got used to be pottery shop. And down.
Yeah.
I cleaned it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
maybe the plan probably shows some.
Oh, the site layout, maybe, oh,
It'll come. It'll come.
oh. Okay, better.
Patience.
Oh, there it is. Okay, good.
Patience.
Okay,
There we go.
okay, great. All right, so this is a revised plan, different, totally different than the previous plan that you've seen. As you know, this is a road application, and on the previous plan, we had a building that was facing the road and it wasn't close to the road, and some of the board members at that time felt that maybe it did not meet the requirements for the road application. And luckily, we said Mr. Ahmad had the chance to acquire another building to the west of the project, and we added that to the equation. And what we were able to do, we were able to move the proposed building all the way to the west side of the property. This way, we left a good buffer between the businesses on to the east and the residential on the north. Also, by doing this, we were eliminated the parking that was proposed in the front. So now the parking's on the side of the building. We also reduced the number of pumps. That was another issue. Basically, at the planning board meeting, I was taking notes, and all the notes that I heard from the neighbors and the planning board, I tried to address most of them to the extent practical. I think we did probably 95%. So we reduced the number of pumps. Also, there was a concern about the parking, the shared parking with the commercial and the residential. With this layout, if you look at the northeast east corner of the property. You can see the six, I believe, six parking spaces. That are for the residential, so they're not mixed with the parking on for the retail or the commercial use. Also, we were able to add more open space or playground, I would say more open space along that corner, which abuts also a residential district. We were able to add more parking to the front. As you see now, we've almost meeting the 20-foot required parking on Route 28, and we were able to add more buffer, yeah. Yeah, yes, I did. I'm sorry, you could,
I
yeah.
don't like parking in the.
No. Add more, yeah, landscape. So it's required 20 feet, and I think in some places we have more than 20 feet. Also, we were able to add more landscape to the north to buffer the residential and to the east from the existing businesses. So also we squared the building kind of, so now I think it's architecturally more attractive. And I know you didn't have an issue with the old building, so this is a much improved. I think you probably love this one. We connected the landscape, the pedestrian access from Route 28 to the front. So we have a front store on storefront on Route 28 for pedestrians, and we've been working basically with Kathy on this. I know Kathy, you had some comments at the last site, and we did address most of those comments too. So basically, reduced the number of pumps, added more landscape, provided open space, separated the parking, and it's a much improved layout, and we hope that we can get a positive recommendation on this. Thank you.
Do you want me to show the buildings? Yeah.
Last page is there.
This site plan is incredibly different. Wow. I'm pretty impressed. I'm speaking out of turn, but
No, that's good. I'm sure they like to hear that, Sarah.
Keep speaking, Sarah, keep speaking.
pretty amazing.
Computer to catch up.
All right.
I think the renderings, that's why you can't.
The renderings are at the end
Yeah,
there.
right.
But it's a large file, that's why it takes
Yeah,
a while to
exactly.
regenerate.
There you go.
That's the first one.
Okay.
So this is, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
Sarah, I'm
28
sorry,
in the upper right.
That's actually this. Yeah, that's the 28th.
it's 28, yeah?
Become 28.
Yeah, with the gas pumps are as a side view.
Yeah, that's the right side.
Hmm.
You want me to go through,
Questions?
do you want me to go through the siting and the building strategies, or you?
No.
You can, beautiful.
We're gonna have
Happy to-
questions first.
Yeah, okay.
Then we might. Chris, anything?
No.
No. Sarah, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I'll just repeat what I said before. I think it's really incredibly creative and innovative how you just switched everything around. The building looks good. It's great. Thank you. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And I'll pretty much concur with all that. I think it's if there's anything I'm not completely thrilled about is 3 curb cuts. On the other hand, I see the reasoning why you probably need that. I think the architecture of the building is great. I think the mixed use is great. I'm pleased to see that you took into account, I guess, both what the planning board and we were concerned about before. I mean, my main concern before was that there seemed to be too much trying to be fit into this site, and now we have both shrunk what's going into the site and added to the site. So that's been great. Like the architecture, I like the pumps and the roof that's been being put on over the pumps. Only other couple little things I'd have down in the back where you're going to have the little playground. We're butting up to house there. And I know the playground is in essence considered part of the 20-foot buffer, obviously. Which I'm all right, but especially it being a playground, I think maybe a little extra, but I know we're talking about, I guess there's an existing fence there apparently. But a little heavier buffering there might be in order.
Mhm.
I know there's some buffer plantings now that I think are on the state property. Are those staying or as well or?
Mhm. They're staying, yeah.
And otherwise, I don't think I had any much concern wherever you can keep existing trees, which apparently you're showing here, at least a few, is being done, and that is fine. Apparently you meet all the criteria relevant to parking requirements and so forth, which also is fine. And a couple little things like the curb cuts, I think is kind of you have to live with. I mean, one of them's a one-way for the drive-through mainly and the resident parking anyway, so I'm very comfortable with it. And I appreciate you guys listening to all the comments and concerns of both our board and the planning board and Kathy, I'm sure. Kathy, did you have to add to that?
The only comment I had has to do with the amount of candles underneath the
Mhm.
canopy. And we had mentioned that before,
Mhm.
and I know that you haven't redone.
We're working on it.
And we'll redo it, but that's really my only comment. And you're right. I do have to say that every comment that we've had, you guys have really tried to address, from the public to the planning board to the design review, to the maximum extent practicable, while still maintaining a gas station, convenience store, residential on the drive-through. So I appreciate the level of effort that you guys have done, and also the level of the plans that were done are very high quality, and it's nice to see that. So the only comment I would have to the board is because this is a road project, we're really looking at it to see if we are substantially adhering to the architectural site design standards. So there's a slightly lower bar than typical. Do you want me to stop sharing now, Sarah? Or is there anything
That's
else you
fine.
want?
No, I was just a curiosity question. There's nothing, whoops. Sorry, that's my table. Just curious about who these, what population of these apartments hopefully going to be rented to what population, excuse me. Just curious.
They're
I know-
just, they're small 2 bedrooms. So imagine either couples or couples with a small child, and not big families, obviously. And, hopefully it's some area who can walk to work.
And affordable, what kind?
Is one,
Yeah, affordable.
Is-
definitely.
It's
is one
not
of
a
them?
capital A affordable, just to be clear. It's a lowercase affordable, I think,
Okay,
because of its location.
Mhm.
Correct, yeah.
Reasonably priced than, something near a fancy.
So none of them are required to be
thank you.
affordable. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I know that has nothing to do with it's not under our purview, but I was curious. Thank you.
One other little comment I just happened to think of. In terms of the landscape schedule and the trees, we got, I think, too many red maples.
Okay.
I like,
Why?
I prefer to see them mixed up a little bit more. Almost all red maples are the trees other than some Coosa.
They're pretty
Red
hard.
maples do okay, but they're not, if you look at the red maples around, they're not the hardiest of Cape
You
Cod
should-
trees.
You should see mine. Okay.
Are yours good? Well, you take special care of yours, I'm sure. Everything is going to be irrigated too, I take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then of course we have to hope they'll let you put the irrigation
The other day.
on.
So I'm just gonna go through the citing strategies for you guys, and let me know if you have any comments on the streetscape. I think it meets the standards. The new building fronts on the street.
This is what you're talking about, Paul, right? Just to.
Street facing windows and a street entrance. So I think it meets the standards.
Yep.
The tenant space is not really applicable. It's really the kind of larger buildings. Defining the street edge, I think they meet that standard by the new building being located closer to the street, and the street edge is further defined with a wider front buffer with plantings and irrigation. Good. Shielding large buildings, it's not really applicable. It's only a 4,000 square foot building. Designing a second story, they meet that. They have a second story for residential mixed use.
Yep.
Use topo to screen the new development is really not applicable in this particular. Landscape buffers and screening, indicated that it meets the standards. Wider buffers and detailed landscaping plans and irrigation have been shown in the modified design, along with an 8-foot solid wood fence along the abutting residential zone. This might be the place where you could recommend less red maples and more variety if you want, if the committee wants.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see that in there. Because all the bigger trees are red maples, every one of them.
So more variety in tree species.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't know if this would be the spot to say maybe. Because I think they're just the small red cedars or something, you know, and behind the playground there.
Oh,
You have
the list Yeah. I think are these. Like, what are all these here?
Oh, this side, yeah.
it's right.
Yeah,
I think this is what you're talking.
I'm talking about
This is
that,
all
yeah,
business,
that's business,
but this is residential. So
right? But should that area be buffered with more than just the cedars as well?
Oh, I see. You just have cedars along there, not the interspersed with some larger
Yeah, I think you're supposed to have
trees.
some larger trees, even though that is, I take it that's,
Larger trees and stuff.
yeah, that's 10, there is 10 feet there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to meet the bylaw and so forth, you need
Yes.
the larger trees actually in the back there too, every 20 feet, is it?
Well, the,
30 feet, 30 feet.
They're they have the evergreen trees. This is being 3-inch caliper, right?
Yep,
So
the
what-
evergreens, red cedars, 3-inch caliber.
Right. So they have a lot of those.
That's all bordering the
Right.
fence and going all the way around.
And then they're interspersed.
Oh, those, so those are all 3-inch caliber, okay, I
Yeah.
thought those were more strawberry.
I mean, it's nice to have, because they all look the same. It's nice to have some variety.
Variety, yeah.
No, if
That
they're,
makes
if they're
sense.
3-inch caliber and so forth, and they qualify as trees, I guess I'm happy.
So you don't want to say.
Oh,
any
74 of
additional
those,
larger
yeah.
trees in the buffers by the play area and residential. So it's,
Well, if they're 3-inch caliber,
it's just variety.
planting at 6 to 8 feet, I guess I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So we will just say recommend.
Every time I see the smaller green things, I think
You
of
of the
shrubs,
bush,
yeah.
Recommend less red maples and more variety in tree species. Period. Parking lot visibility meets the standards. The parking areas have been relocated to the side and rear of the new build, including 2 in-lot trees, and provides more screened landscaped buffers. Breaking up large parking lot, I think it meets the standard. The design may be considered to be substantially adhered to the design standards, as the parking areas have been broken up into 3 separate areas. The amount of pavement has been reduced to that needed for circulation, and I appreciate that. And buffer screening has been provided. The only comment I would make under locating utilities underground, obviously all the utilities are underground, but talking about the
Maybe
lighting.
big trees, I would say,
So,
something like this.
so maybe this is a case where you could say for substantially adherence to the design standards, recommend a significant reduction in foot candles under the canopy, which are currently shown as high as 77.4 foot candles, and reducing the foot candles to 0.05, which is the bylaw foot candles at the property line abutting the residentially zoned properties. Sounds like you guys are doing it anyway. So I think this is just a place where we can make sure that. So you're gonna be providing a new
Lighting plan.
lighting plan
Before
for the
the,
planning board?
yes, before the plan. Yeah.
And then shielding loading areas. We didn't really talk about it, but just one place for a box truck.
Mhm.
Looks kind of like a parking space, so I think that meets the standards. With regard to the building strategies, breaking down building masses or having submasses, it's really not applicable. It's not a particularly large building. The varying the facade lines and having that modulation, to meet the standards. The design may be considered to substantially adhere, as the front of the building is modulated, includes a front porch with entrance. The east elevation includes a large porch structure, and the rear facade has an angle and small modulation for the drive-through window and upper level living space. I think it's modulated.
Yeah, I do.
With regard to the wall height, roof line, bringing the building edges down, building materials for depth and traditional and natural building materials, and incorporating pedestrian scale features. I just said they are all meeting those standards. They have the nice porches in the front and everything,
Yep.
and including, and then the last one is incorporating energy efficient design, and it meets the standards. And then the next thing would be for them to go to the planning board.
Sounds right to me.
So really briefly, the general description of the project I have included in here, which is from the agenda, as well as I did note that the canopy dimensions are 50 by 42 and include a hip style shingle roof, no signage or side illumination, which I appreciate as well. And decorative stone bases on the columns, so it looks nice. And I did, just to emphasize that I did mention that the project, and it is a case of needing to substantially adhere to the architectural and site design standards. Attorney Paul Tardif gave an overview of the updated modified plan, which includes an adjacent parcel to give more flexibility and room along Route 28 to address neighbor comments from previous planning board meetings. Hal Chuba noted the amendments to meet the road application and included a smaller building fronting along the road, parking to the side and rear of the structure, separate residential parking area, added more open space and wider buffers with more landscaping and irrigation around the perimeter. The applicant has moved to address the planning board and staff comments to have an improved layout. Hal Chuba reviewed the renderings and the building elevations and architecture. And then the design review committee questions and discussions. Sarah Porter indicates that she thinks it's incredibly creative and innovative to switch things around, and the building looks great. Dick Martin concurred. He only noted the 3 curb cuts, but understood the reasons for that. He felt the architecture and mixed use is great. And that they took into account concerns about too much on one site. So the addition of the lot and shrinking of the structures was good. Likes the canopy over the pumps. Mr. Martin noted the playground area is abutting up to residential and may need more buffering. Confirmed that the plantings within the state layout would also remain and have shown a few existing trees remaining, which is good. Mr. Martin noted his appreciation for listening to all the design review committee comments and others. Mr. Martin indicated felt there were too many red maples in the heights for them to be more of a mix. And then just Sarah Porter inquired who the rental units would go to, and Attorney Tardif noted that they are only 2 bedrooms, so a couple and no large families. So if that is acceptable to the design review committee, I need a motion to approve these design review committee comments as meeting minutes for the October 18th, 2022 design review committee for the proposed modified redevelopment at 1272, 1276, and 1282 Route 28 using the road overlay district bylaw.
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second moved by Sarah. Any discussion on the motion? Just before we vote on that, I just had one other quick question. I know there was some concern by the residential neighbors. Have they been communicated with, and are they pretty happy with what's going on now, or we don't know?
We're having our public hearing with the planning board on November 16th.
So they'll probably be there. Okay, I was just wondering if there had been any outpouring or anything. Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
I,
No, I'm sorry, we have to do it. Sarah,
yes,
Chris,
Aye.
and I'm an aye, so that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Wait,
Nice.
one last vote. I need one last vote.
To adjourn.
That's it. I need a motion to adjourn.
That was it.
Motion is made to adjourn. Do we have a second?
second,
Second. Discussion, I'm sure. All in favor? Aye, aye.
I,
Please say aye. Wait, we can say aye on that.
Aye. Chris says aye.
Sarah, I.
We all say aye.
We
Oh,
all
I
said-
think that
All 3 of us.
was that the fastest design review committee meeting?
We like it. Well, see, they listened to us for a change.
That's what-
You know, We came back with a good plan.
None of you include the what, 2 or 3 other hearings, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. It was
Yeah.
good.
We're, we appreciate your
Yeah, thank you.
willingness to listen and come up with a good plan, and
Looks great.
I think you'll have a successful multi-use property there.
Absolutely.
That'd be a nice little,
You're gonna have good donuts?
good start.
All right.
Donuts?
I'm gonna end
Yes.
the meeting.